Welcome back, horror fans! Today we're diving deep into the dark and twisted world of trauma in horror movies. Trauma is a powerful theme, and it can shape characters, drive plots, and leave lasting impacts on viewers. In this video, we're going to explore 3 chilling films that masterfully depict trauma, unraveling the psychological scars and the emotional turmoil that will haunt their characters. And of course, as we're going to be talking about movies, there will be spoilers. Incident at Ghostland is a psychological horror masterpiece that explores the depths of trauma, resilience, and the blurred lines between reality and the mind's darkest corners. The story follows a mother, Pauline, and her 2 daughters, Beth and Vera, who inherit a house from their recently deceased aunt. On the first night in their new home, they are brutally attacked by 2 intruders, a large man known as the Fat Man and a woman known as the Candy Truck Woman. Pauline fights fiercely to protect her daughters and manages to overpower the intruders. 16 years later, Beth has become a successful horror author, but she is haunted by the nightmare of that night. She receives a distressing call from Vera, who still lives in the house and is suffering from severe mental trauma. When Beth returns to the house, she discovers that the horrors of their past are far from over. The narrative blurs the lines between reality and hallucination. The Incident at Ghostland does an impressive job of portraying trauma and the blurred lines between reality and hallucination. The film's narrative, structure, and visual style effectively convey psychological impact of trauma on the characters, particularly through Beth's and Vera's experiences. The way the film shifts between Beth's seemingly successful life and the horrific reality she and Vera are trapped in highlights how trauma can distort one's perception of reality. This duality creates a sense of disorientation for the audience, mirroring the characters' own confusion and fear. The use of unreliable narration and the sudden shifts in perspective keeps the viewers on edge, making it difficult to distinguish between what is real and what is imagined. Moreover, the film depicts Vera's ongoing suffering and Beth's struggles to confront the past, underscores the long-lying effects of trauma. It shows how deeply traumatic events can shape a person's life and mental state, often resurfacing in unexpected and distressing ways. The ending of Incident at Ghostland is indeed haunting and open to interpretation. It leaves viewers with a lingering sense of unease and ambiguity, which is the hallmark of an effective psychological horror. Interpret the ending how you wish. My interpretation underscores the inescapable nature of trauma. The film's conclusion is seen as a commentary for the enduring impact of traumatic events. It highlights how survivors can be haunted by their past, with their minds creating alternate realities as coping mechanisms, culminating in the ending that forces the audience to question what is real and what is imagined.
Once in your life, stop running away! Try to accept reality!
The Doom Room is a psychological horror film that explores the themes of trauma, guilt, and psychological torment. As soon as the movie begins, we're assaulted by metal music, a barrage of hauntingly aggressive images, sounds of pain, screams, and tears. The opening sequence immediately grabs you by the back of the head and forces you to pay attention. Slowing down through that hellscape, the true story is delivered, but watching it as is, the violent, gritty style along with the image, sound, and design makes you feel almost violated. It's the perfect entry to the film. After that, we get silence. And a woman on a bed in a sparse, dilapidated room filled with peculiar trinkets and sexual paraphernalia. With no memory of how she got there, no way out, our unnamed protagonist investigates, becoming more and more haunted and tortured as the story progresses. The protagonist is trapped in a small, confined space, which intensifies her feelings of claustrophobia and isolation. This setting serves as a metaphor for the internal prison of trauma, where she is forced to confront her darkest memories and emotions. Throughout the film, there are flashbacks that reveal the protagonist's traumatic past experiences. These flashbacks are triggered by her confinement and add to the psychological pressure she faces in the present. The movie incorporates supernatural elements that blur the lines between reality and hallucination. This allows the film to explore the protagonist's fractured psyche and lingering effects of her trauma in a visually striking and symbolic way. The protagonist is not only physically trapped but also psychologically tormented by visions and manifestations relating to her past trauma. This aspect highlights the lasting impact of trauma on mental health and the difficulty of escaping its effects. As the film progresses, the protagonist confronts the source of her trauma and begins to unravel the mystery behind her confinement. This journey towards understanding and acceptance parallels her psychological journey towards healing and resolution. Dragging us kicking and screaming through our protagonist's hellish ordeal of repressed memories, shocking revelations, and in-your-face threatening situations, the entire movie is a thrilling, horrifying look into the depravity of humankind and the strength of self-protection and self-determination. It delves into the mind and truths that are worse than nightmares: guilt, grief, terror, sexual torture, loss, redemption, and what a person is really capable of. Because with trauma, the only way out is through. The 2011 film Sucker Punch is a unique blend of fantasy, action, and psychological horror that takes us deep into the imagination of a young woman named Baby Doll. Sucker Punch is a visually striking film directed by Zack Snyder. The film revolves around a young woman named Baby Doll who is institutionalized by her abusive stepfather after the tragic and greed-driven deaths of her sister and mother. In the asylum, Baby Doll is scheduled for a lobotomy in 5 days at the stepfather's order.
So it's going to have to be $2,000 even.
During that time, she has to deal with the despicable crimes and the abuse that is doled out there. This place is a box people throw their secrets, and the girls are used as the evil staff see fit. To cope with her grim reality, she retreats into a vivid fantasy world where the asylum is reimagined as a brothel, and she and the other inmates are dancers and sex slaves. In this alternate reality, Baby Doll meets a wise man who tells her she needs to find 5 items to escape: a map, fire, a knife, a key, and a mysterious 5th item that requires a deep sacrifice. As Baby Doll dances, she enters further layers of the fantasy where she and her friends, Amber, Blondie, Rocket, and Sweet Pea, undertake epic quests to retrieve these items. These quests are filled with battles against samurai giants, World War I soldiers, orcs, and robotic guards. Each fantasy adventure mirrors the real world efforts to gather the tools they need to escape the asylum. The film blurs the lines between reality and fantasy, creating a complex narrative that explores themes of empowerment, sacrifice, and the power of imagination. This unique blend of action, fantasy, and psychological drama challenges perceptions of reality and survival. The truth of what she is facing within this abusive and neglectful asylum is mirrored in the fantasy, making it more palatable and to protect Baby Doll's mind as much as possible. It's a bold and ambitious exploration into the power of the mind and the resilience of the human spirit. Fans appreciate the bold style, complex narrative, and the underlying themes of resilience and empowerment.
I don't have a ticket.
I know. It's okay. Go find a seat in the back.